Hi everyone, my name is Isabel. I am a freshman at Concord Carlisle High School, and I'm going to be your Crossroads reader for today. So today we're going to be talking all about some pretty recent Black historical figures in a 4-part series all about Black History Month, since it is February, and together we're going to learn and, educate ourselves. We could always learn something new. If you are new here, this is the Crossroads YouTube channel. Crossroads is a subsection of a CCHS club called Intersections, both of which look to spark dialogue about topics that we think are important or underrepresented. So today, that topic is Black historical figures. So with that, remember to like this video, subscribe, and let's get into it. So we're going to be reading I Am Jacky Robinson by Brad Meltzer. So let's get into it. I am Jacky Robinson. Sometimes it's hard to be brave. My mother was brave, and she liked brave people. When I was born, the youngest of 5 kids, she even named me after someone brave. His middle name will be Roosevelt, says his mom. Jack Roosevelt Robinson. Why Roosevelt? After President Teddy Roosevelt, he fought to make sure Black people were treated the same as everyone else. And then this guy here says, that's a lot for little Jacky to live up to. And then his mom responds, you'll see, I'm not worried. But having a brave name doesn't make you a brave person. In fact, as a kid, I didn't like sleeping alone. I used to sleep in my mom's bed. Even when she tried to bribe me, I would not leave. So his mom says, I'll give you a quarter. You go sleep in your room. And Jacky Robinson responds, not a chance. It's better in here. One of my scariest moments came when I was 8 years old. I was outside and a girl from across the street called me a terrible name. I was so mad, I yelled the name right back at her, and her father came running immediately. He didn't like it that a Black boy was standing up to his white daughter. We were the only Black family on our block. I didn't remember who threw the first rock. So here we have the dad of the white girl he's in a fight with, and he says, what did you call her? And Jacky Robinson points back at the girl and says, she started it. But the fight was on. Me versus her dad. I had a good arm, but no one wins in a rock fight. Eventually, the girl's mother came out and broke it up. Like I said, the world can be a scary place. But even as a kid, there was one thing that always made me happy. So, there's their little rock fight. And the girl says, get him, Dad. Sports. And winning at sports. Okay, that's 2 things. I love playing everything. Baseball, football, and basketball. Soccer, marbles, even dodgeball. All the kids would get in a circle. White, Black, Hispanic, Asian, and we all played together. The rules were simple. If the ball hit you, you were out. I would duck, jump, leap, and of course throw, and throw, and throw. By the time I was done, I'd be the last one standing. They weren't mad at me for winning. They appreciated the skill it took. Those childhood games were some of the only times I wasn't judged by the color of my skin. So here we have a couple cartoons. Jacky's talking to his friend and says, are they mad that I won? And his friend responds, I don't know. Fall down. Maybe they won't notice. And over here we have another cartoon where all his friends are around him saying, hooray, Jacky! How does he do it? And what's the B on his hat stand for? You'll see, another one says. And they're all parading around him. Still, that didn't make all my problems go away. At the local public pool in Brookside Park, you could only go swimming if you were white. If you were black, they locked you out. When people complained, they gave us 1 day each week, Wednesday. Every Wednesday from 2 to 5, they'd open the pool for anybody black, Mexican, or Asian. So over here we have these two boys kind of being mean to Jacky, and they say, "Oh, come on, he even swims with that hat on?" And the other boy says, "Maybe B is for buoyant." So how do you win when you feel like you're fighting the entire world? My mother, who worked as a maid, showed me the answer. Back then, we were so poor, we sometimes ate only 2 meals a day. To help us out, every Saturday night, the local bakery would let us take their leftovers. And the milkman, back when milk was delivered to your house, he would give us whatever extra that he had. "It's a feast. Look at all this food." And then the mom responds, "It's not just for us." And Jacky responds, "What do you mean?" We weren't the only ones struggling for money. My mom took the extra food and shared it with all of our neighbors. So here we have a little graphic, and it's his mom handing out food to the neighbors. And she says, "Would you like some extra bread?" And they respond, "Wow, thanks, that's very kind of you." And she says, "I'm Mally, Jacky's mom." And they say, "Nice to meet you, Mally." "That's right," Jacky says. "She even shared it with the angry guy who threw rocks at me." That's how we got to be friends with everyone in the neighborhood. It was one of my mom's best lessons. When you do something good, it brings back good in others. Plus, the more our neighbors got to know us, the more they realized just how black and white people were alike. I learned a similar lesson from a local mechanic named Carl Anderson. He saw the group of boys I used to hang out with. We called ourselves the Pepper Street Gang. We were a bunch of poor kids. For fun, we would throw dirt clods at cars and swipe golf balls from the local course. When he saw what we were doing, Mr. Anderson took me aside. He didn't lose his temper. Calm as he could be, he told me, "Jacky, I know why you're following the crowd. You're afraid they'll think you're different or chicken, but it doesn't take guts to follow the crowd. Courage comes from people willing to be different." What Mr. Anderson said that day, it got to me. With the help of my pastor, I stopped hanging out with the gang. From there, I threw myself even deeper into my favorite activity. Sports. And winning at sports, especially baseball. As a teenager, I could run so fast, a local reporter noticed that in nearly every game, I stole second and third and home at least once. And you have the other teammate saying, "You were just on first base. How'd you get there so fast?" He says, "Maybe the B is for blast off." In college, I became the first UCLA student to ever letter in 4 sports in the same season. So that means that he played 4 sports at UCLA, which is a college in California. Baseball, and football, and basketball, and track. They said I was one of the best football players in the country. 2 seasons in a row, I scored the most points out of any player in the league. I won the NCAA, which is an association. It's like the governing association of college sports. I won the NCAA title that year. Only one American jumped farther than me. That's pretty crazy stuff. But the same problems kept coming back. When the college newspaper wrote a nice article about me, one of my own white teammates purposely smashed into my leg, trying to injure me. He was mad that the article said something nice about a black person. Jacky said, "Ah, my leg." And someone else says, "Don't they know we're on the same team?" And someone else says, "Trust me, they know." By the time I got out of the army, It still didn't matter that I was one of the best athletes in the country. If you wanted to play a professional sport, you had to be white. So here we have a white guy from a baseball team telling Jacky, "Sorry, son, your kind doesn't belong here." Back then, if you were the world champs, it meant you were the white champs. In all Major League Baseball, not a single team had even one black player. Oh, and did I mention that if you were on a black team, the pay was worse, the food was worse, and sometimes the only place to sleep was on the bus? And here we have Jacky with his all-black team on the bottom. And he says, "Gross, is this food or goo?" And someone else says, "You don't want to know." Thanks to a man named Brank Rickey. Rickey was the president of the Brooklyn Dodgers, one of the most popular baseball teams ever. With so many players fighting in the World War II, Rickey had a plan for filling his team. And he says, "I have an idea. The Dodgers will secretly look at black players." The other people working with him say, "Are you nuts? People will stop rooting for us." And he responds back, "I don't care. It's time to do what's right." After searching all across the United States and the world, Branch Rickey found me. "I'm Jackie Robinson. Nice to meet you." And Branch Rickey responds, "Nice to meet you too. I think you can play in the major leagues. How do you feel about that?" Mr. Rickey told me that he knew I was a good ball player, but he wanted to know whether I had the guts. He warned me that many white people would be mad about a black player. And here we have Mr. Rickey talking to Jackie Robinson saying, "There's no one on our side. No owners, no umpires. Loads of players and spectators will yell at you. Pitchers will throw baseballs at your head. But no matter what they do, if you get angry, it'll look like you can't handle it. Can you handle it?" On April 18th, 1946, at 27 years old, I was given my shot. At Roosevelt Stadium in Jersey City, New Jersey, I played my first official game for the Montreal Royals, the Brooklyn Dodgers' farm team. You better believe I was terrified. I didn't want to let people down. Then at 3:04 p.m., in my first bat, I was thrown out of first. "You're out," says the umpire. Thousands of black spectators had come to see what I could do. Thousands of white people were there too, convinced that black players couldn't possibly be as good as white ones. It was up to me to prove them wrong. The next time I came up was in the third inning. There were 2 men in the base. The pitcher decided on a fastball. I can still see it coming, chest high, down the middle, but this time, crack! And the ball finally landed 340 feet away in the left field stands. No one could say that a black man can't play as good as a white man. Some called it a home run. Others called it history. That afternoon, in 5 at-bats, I hit and got on base 4 times. I stole second twice, and I scored 4 runs. When the game was done, I couldn't get out of the locker room because I was mobbed by fans. Black, white, young, old, even folks rooting for the other team. They were cheering for me. Still, that didn't mean it was easy. When I started playing for the Brooklyn Dodgers, lots of players didn't want me there. Pitchers threw fastballs at my head. Runners stepped on me with their cleats. Catchers even spit on my shoes. And they weren't just coming after me. They told me that if I kept playing, they would hurt my son. Was I mad? Yes. Was I scared? Yes. but I never let it stop me. Game after game, I kept playing, knowing I wasn't just playing for myself. Each time, more and more people, black and white, were cheering. In the stands, fans wore "I'm for Jacky" buttons, and slowly, eventually, we were all playing together. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, baseball opened up to everyone. It was just like those childhood games of dodgeball. Through the simple game of baseball, the country saw a new possibility, a new option. All they needed was for someone to go first. These two fans say, "I told you, the B is for boom." And this other one says, "The B is for Brooklyn, genius." And over here we have a ton of Jacky's fans saying, "You see his stats? He stole home 19 times. Was National League MVP in 1949 when he led in hitting and steals. The Dodgers won 6 pennants in his 10 seasons. He was one of the people inducted into the Hall of Fame in the very first year he was eligible." So those are all some pretty crazy achievements for an athlete. In life, people tried to scare me. They wanted to stop me. They wanted to make me go away. Why? Because I was different. Each time, I wanted to fight back. But for real change to come, you need to lead by example. Being a leader takes bravery. But remember this: no one is born brave. No matter how small or big you are, there will always be things that scare you. And it's okay to be afraid. Just don't let it stop you. And we have one guy say, "Remember that park where they wouldn't let him swim? It's now called Robinson Park." Today, no one in baseball can wear the number 42. But once a year, every player on a team wears it. It's the one day when everyone looks the same, says this other fan. There is real power in each and every one of us. Use that power to do what's right. Use that power for a cause that you believe in. And most of all, use that power to lead and help others. So here we have a fan saying, instead of Brooklyn, you could have told people that the B was for brave, just like my middle name. This is Jacky. I am Jacky Robinson. I will always lead the way, and I hope that you will too. When others see your example, they'll stand with you. It's the only way the world ever gets changed. Together. So here we have some real pictures of Jacky Robinson. This is him playing baseball, football, track. This is him with his family, and this is Branch Rickey, who took a chance on Jacky Robinson. All right, thank you everyone for watching the video. Just a reminder, make sure to check out the other parts of the series, which will be coming out every week or so in February. Remember to subscribe, like this video, check out the other ones, and we did also just come out with a Facebook group. It is at CCHS Crossroads on Facebook. Make sure to stay tuned there. We post reminders every time a video is posted, and any big updates will be posted there. So with that, thank you guys so much. Bye-bye.